Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to talk to you about the Oupes Mega 2 solar generator that just came out. And I'm also going to talk to you about what ChatGPT told me on how you can protect your solar generator for an EMP or a coronal mass ejection, and if it will even do any harm to the batteries. Remember that most solar generators nowadays come with a BMS or a battery management system that protects the insides of the unit in case of surge. But an EMP or a coronal mass ejection, that's probably a little bit more than what the BMS was built for. But let's see what ChatGPT has to say. Electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, can potentially damage electronic devices by inducing high voltage and currents. In the case of a LiFePO4 battery, the impact of an EMP would depend on factors such as the strength of the pulse, distance from the source, and the level of shielding. If the EMP is strong enough and the battery is not adequately shielded, it could lead to voltage spikes or other electronic failures within the battery management system, the BMS. Now, in all honesty, I don't know if these things would actually catch on fire or something like that. Just like ChatGPT said, it's a possibility. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we'll ever know that until it actually happens, and we can always hope that it doesn't happen. Me personally, I think I'm just going to keep an extra solar generator 100% protected the best that I can, meaning that I'm going to go ahead and grab me one of those Faraday bags, I think is what they call them. They're like a Mylar bag that you put your electronics in, and then I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it inside of a Faraday cage or a complete metal encasing that is grounded to the ground. I think I'm going to do is take one of my bigger solar generators and do that with it, just to make sure that if something ever were to happen, it has that extra protection. But now let's go ahead and talk about the Mega 2. Obviously, it's the latest in the lineup of the new Mega series that Oupes is coming out with. And this one, ladies and gentlemen, is very nice. Why? First of all, isn't this a good looking machine? Very nice looking on all sides. But this one is a smaller one that is easily portable. It has a 2048 watt-hour battery, which is a LiFePO4 battery, obviously, what I consider the best in the solar generator industry. And it's rated for 3,500 charge and discharge cycles, which means that you can charge and discharge this machine every day for almost 10 years before it starts to lose carrying capacity, which is a great deal. In addition to that, it has an inverter that will put out 2,500 watts continuous with a 5,400 watt surge in power without it tripping. Now remember something, that if this is rated for 2,500 watts continuous, you want it to trip after it surpasses 2,500 watts, let's say. And the reason for that is, well, not like 2,501 or 2,510 watts, right? You don't want it to trip if it's only a couple of watts over. However, if it does, I wouldn't have a problem with it, because that's what it's supposed to do in order for the system to protect itself from damage inside. Is that when it goes over 2,500, that it trips, that way the system is protected. It is a very simple machine, just like every other machine that Oupes makes. I really like that they have buttons, and as you can see, you probably noticed that I had it charging. It's at 100% charge. Oupes only sends them out with about 60 to 70% battery capacity. I think it has to do with the shipping companies and their regulations and all. But you can see that it has a very nice LCD screen, just like all of the other Oupes products. Nice big numbers that you can take a look at, and good information on the screen. Obviously, I have the AC on here. I must have pushed that by mistake, but the AC is on. There you go. Very easy to turn on your AC. Each one of these 4 outlets is rated for 20 amps, ladies and gentlemen. But remember, you can only get 2,500 watts out of the entire machine continuously. It doesn't mean that you can get 2,500 watts out of each outlet, but combined, you can get 2,500 watts. Something that this mid-size solar generator has that not too many others have. I really haven't seen any other mid-size around 2,000 watt area that has a 30 amp RV outlet, which you can use to hook up obviously to your RV, but I'm going to use this to hook up to my house. This one is just like the Mega 3 and the Mega 5, that it allows you to provide service to your entire house. And AP, how are you going to provide service to your entire house with 2,000 watt hours? Well, unfortunately, the extra battery that Oupes sent me is still en route. It's supposed to be delivered next week sometimes. However, you can hook up to 4 additional external batteries of 2,048 watt hours each to this unit, giving you a combined total of 10,216, I believe it is. Don't quote me on the 216, but at least 10,000 watt hours in total. And that, combined with the 2,500 continuous output, should be plenty to power your house for the essentials that you would need during a power grid outage. Here is your DC outlet. Turn it on and turn it off. And it comes with 4 USB-A fast charging ports, which is great. It has 2 USB-C 100 watt ports. And it has an Anderson connector output, ladies and gentlemen, that would give you about 360 watts DC. And on the opposite side of the DC is your other DC that comes with your garden variety cigarette lighter right here. And your 2 5521 ports, same thing. Turn it on, turn it off. Now let me go ahead and show you the other sides of this machine along with some of the other specifications before we do 3 tests that we want to do with this machine. The first one being the UPS test, seeing if our heater stays on once we disconnect it from grid power. The second one being the capacity test, seeing if we can maintain at 2,500 watts or around there for a few minutes or so without the machine tripping. And the third test, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be an efficiency test to see how many watt hours we can get out of this thing. The closer to 2,048, the better. Now this side, ladies and gentlemen, is your input side. It has your solar input and it has your AC input. You saw that I have my AC input on. That's how I topped it off after I got it out of the box. And your solar input is in the form of an Anderson connector. And this solar input, ladies and gentlemen, check this out. 2,100 watt max you can put in this thing with solar. Meaning that if you have the maximum wattage coming in through your solar, you can charge this machine in about an hour or so, or a little over an hour, depending on how much sun you have. With your AC, you can put in as much as 1,600 watts per hour. It has 2 settings, one that's for about between 800 and 1,000 watts, and another one that's about 1,600 watts. Either way, at 1,000 watts, it takes you about 2 hours to fill this up, and at 1,600 watts, roughly an hour and a half or so, if not a little less. Now, in addition to your AC cable, it does come with a solar cable that you can hook up to an Oupes solar panel. It comes equipped with an 8mm and your Anderson connector, but it also comes with an MC4 cable, which I'm really glad that Oupes did. Even though, from what I understand, Oupes doesn't sell any solar panels that take MC4 connectors, but they went ahead and sent you one just in case you have your own solar panels that have MC4 and you have a wire ready to use it instead of going and spending the $5 or $10 that it costs at Amazon. It also has a charging cable that hooks up to your cigarette lighter in your vehicle. Now this only charges at about 100 or so watts per hour, but it's nice to have in case you take the Mega 2 on a trip and you want to keep it topped off. Now, you probably can't see this very well, and I almost always forget to talk about this, but this is what I call a little circuit breaker down here. This is a little fuse that if for some reason the system starts to get overloaded or it gets a shock or something like that, it will trip, and that's there so that it'll protect the system. Just like a breaker is in your house, if you try to overload an outlet or something like that, it'll trip the breaker and you have to go and reset it. So that's a good thing that this one comes with it as well. Now, the back side doesn't really have anything that we need to talk about because there's nothing there. But this is the opposite side from the input side. And this is the side where you can go ahead and connect your extra battery to. Now, remember, you can connect up to 4 extra batteries to this unit, giving you upward of 10,000 watt hours, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and conduct some of our tests with this and see how it performs. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so the first test that we're going to perform with this is the UPS test. Now, you can see that the cord is plugged into the unit and that I have it plugged into an active, you can see by the light, extension cord that's plugged into my AC outlet here in the bunker. We're going to go ahead and turn this little heater on. It's not going to reach 2,500 watts, but it will turn on enough so that you can see if it turns off during the time that we test the UPS by disconnecting this unit from the grid. Okay, this is just on fan right now. Let's turn on our AC. And you can see that as soon as I turned on the AC on the Mega 2, that the fan turned on, and you can see this light turn on as well. Let's go ahead and put it on high. So it's pulling about 1200 watts or so. And the reason why it's pulling about 1200 watts right now, it's because it's also bringing in power from the grid at the same time. So if I disconnect this from the grid right now, you should see the wattage right here go up a little bit. And let's see if it actually turns off or if it flickers and it continues to run after a flicker. I haven't tried this. Let's see what happens. Here you go. Did you hear the little click? I heard a tiny little click. And as you can see, the wattage is now up to almost 1500. So the UPS function, ladies and gentlemen, seems to work just fine. Let's try it again. Here you go. All right, you can hear it click into UPS mode. All right, and now we're going to go ahead and use UPS again. Let's turn it off. You hear it click, and it has a pretty seamless transfer, which means that this has a very good UPS on it, ladies and gentlemen. That is key, especially if you're using this to power like a computer or something like that, so that you don't lose any data in the middle of working with your computer while you have it plugged into this, and let's say the grid goes down. So that's very good that it has a good UPS. Now let's try the output test. Let's try to get this as close to 2500 watts as possible without UPS, all right, without going off the grid, and see if it'll maintain at least 2500 watts. That's going to take me using my other heater, the one that I actually used to heat the bunker, to bring this up to about 2500 watts. We might have to manipulate which one is on high or low or all that kind of stuff, but let's do it right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to put them both on low. This one's on low now, okay? And we're going to go ahead and plug in our bunker heater, and you'll see that the wattage goes up. And you can see that it went up. So my bunker heater is on now at about 500 and something watts. Let's go ahead and put our bunker heater on medium. And there you go, we're at 2000 watts. Let's put our bunker heater on high and see if that takes it over 2000. We are at 2527 or 20 or so watts, which is good, ladies and gentlemen, because it means that it's doing what it's supposed to do. One of the things that I've always told you about Oupes is this. It's that it gives you what it says it's going to give you. So if it says that one of their machines is going to do 2500 watts continuous, then it's going to do at least 2500 watts continuous. And that's exactly what it's doing. All right. And it also gives you, in my opinion, your best bang for your buck, meaning that you're not going to find another machine out there with these same specifications for as good a price as what they're offering it. And by the way, they do have this unit on sale for Black Friday along with their entire Oupes lineup. I am going to leave a link and a discount code and a pinned comment so that you can go and use it in the Oupes store and get what I think are probably the best prices of this year. But this unit right here, ladies and gentlemen, is doing exactly what they told you that it's supposed to do. 2500 watts continuous. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and see if we can trip this thing by putting them both on high and see what it takes in order for this to trip. I hope really that it will trip immediately, because that means that it's protecting my batteries. But right now I've got my heater on high, the one that's for the bunker here, and this one's on medium. So as soon as I turn this on high, more than likely this is going to trip, which is what it's supposed to do, okay? Let's see. There you go. And it tripped about a second or so after I put this on high. You can see that it's telling you, hey, error code E001 means that you're trying to pull too much power out of it. So what do you do now if you want to go ahead and restart these things? Let me go ahead and disconnect them. We're going to go ahead and turn off our AC. You can see that once we turned off our AC, everything is cleared. Now we're going to turn our AC back on. There you go. And it came right back on. And now we should be able to turn this right back on without any problems. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So it is very simple to clear this and to restart it should you trip it because you're trying to pull too much wattage out of it. Now let's go ahead and do an efficiency test. What we're going to do is this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bring this back up to 100% with my AC outlet. Of course, we're going to turn this off. Okay. And then once it's back at 100%, we're going to come back and we're going to pull 2,500 watts out of it and see how many watt hours we can actually get out of this machine from 100% to about 10% or so. We'll see you in a little bit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as you can see, it's fully charged. Let's go ahead and take it off the grid. Let me unplug it from here as well. That way you can see that we're not using any grid. We're going to go ahead and get our watt meter gauge. We are going to plug it in here. Now, in order for it to work the best, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to go ahead and use this power cord. We're going to plug this in here, okay? And you can see that it's off, but as soon as we turn the AC, we should see the light turn on. You see that? We're going to go ahead and plug our meter into this. That way you can see it good. And you can see that it turns on. And let's see if I've got it reset. Well, you can see that the last test that I did on a different solar generator, the information is still here. So we just have to reset this by pushing in on this little hole with a pen. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, so I went ahead and reset it. Here it is right here. And when I press the function, you'll see that everything's cleared out to 0, except for the voltage, I believe. That's the maximum wattage that this unit will handle. That's what that 3680 means. And you can see that this thing is running at about 120 volts or so, right? But as far as the watts that are coming out, it's 0. The watt hours is 0. Everything is. So now we're going to go ahead and turn this on high. And it is on high. So we've got about 1400 watts coming out of this right now. And you can see the time right there is at 26 seconds or so. So it'll tell us about how long it took to draw whatever wattage we're going to draw out of it. And so far you can see that this is the watt hours that it's used, 0.025 I think. When we're done, we'll see how many watt hours it's used and see at what level this is charged, and that ought to tell us how efficient this machine is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to stop the experiment now at 15%, and the reason is I did not plan ahead. I have to take little Miss Alaska Prepper to school. All right, but you can see it's at 15%. It's still pulling out 1400 plus watts with no problem. And take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is your meter gauge, and it's at 1.87 kilowatt hours. So that's the same as saying 1880 kilowatt hours from 100%, excuse me, down to about 15% or so. So what I'm going to do is when I get back, we're going to get on the computer and we're going to do the math and see exactly how much efficiency this unit has given us at it's going to be 1.9 kilowatt hours or 1900 watt hours with 86% of the battery capacity. Now remember that the Mega 2 comes equipped with a 2048 watt hour battery, or at least that's what it's rated at. So we're going to go ahead and take 1894 and divide it by 2048 and see what percentage of the battery that is. So 1894 is 92.48% of the battery rating in terms of watt hours. Now, if you remember, we started with 100% and we used all the way down to 14%, giving us 86%, which means that as far as efficiency goes, this machine shows that it's more than 100% efficient. But AP, how can that be that it's more than 100% efficient, that we're using more watt hours than what it actually states on the rated value on the owner's manual and the machine as well? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I think, and I'm definitely not technical enough to try to fool you. It shows that we use 86% of this battery, but here, using the numbers, we're using 92% of the total stated watt hours that this machine is rated for. The only thing I can think of is that the battery size is actually a little bigger than 2048 watt hours, and that's what Oupes guarantees that you're going to get out of it, draining it down to 0, at least 2048. Being that we're getting more than that, than what the stated rated average is, I think it's very good. Why? Because you're getting more than what you agreed to pay for. So that's a good thing. Now let me go ahead and read to you what ChatGPT told me we should do in order to try to protect our solar generators against an EMP or a CME. So as you can see here, ladies and gentlemen, I asked ChatGPT, what can I do to protect my solar generator from an EMP or a CME? And this is its answer. Protecting a solar generator from an EMP or CME involves taking measures to shield the electronic components from the potentially damaging effects of these events. Both an EMP and CME can generate strong electromagnetic fields that may include high voltages in electronic circuits, potentially damaging or destroying sensitive equipment. Here are some steps that you can take to protect yourself, or protect, your solar generator. Number one, we all know about a Faraday cage. Enclose your solar generator and its electronic components in a Faraday cage. If you want to read the rest of these, ladies and gentlemen, just go ahead and do a print screen or stop the video and you can read the rest of them. But I don't want to take too much longer because I don't want to lose you all, because this is very important. Here, number two, they're talking about installing EMP or CME protection devices. Install surge protectors and transient voltage suppressors in the solar generator's electrical system. These devices can help absorb and redirect excess voltage away from sensitive components. Now, Oupes, wouldn't it be great if you came out with a solar generator that is EMP proof? Ladies and gentlemen, I think that's something that Oupes can do, and I hope that my rep is listening to this right now and pushes this request up through the management. Shielding cables. Use shielding cables for all connections in the solar generator system. I didn't think I would like ChatGPT when it first came out, but it actually does provide you with pretty decent information that you don't have to go out into the internet and research. You just ask it and it does the research for you. Grounding. Proper grounding is essential for dissipating excess electrical energy and preventing damage. By the way, if you do a Faraday cage, it would be good if you grounded that as well. EMP, CME hardened components. Invest in EMP or CME hardened electronic components when available. Backup systems, we all know about redundancy because we are preppers. And then they say number 7, education and preparedness. Stay informed about space weather and potential EMP/CME events. Having a plan in place for disconnecting and protecting your solar generator when a threat is detected can be crucial. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, have you all subscribed, or are you subscribed to the Suspicious Observer? I think that's a great channel. I believe the gentleman's name is Ben, and every morning he puts out a short video that lets you know what's going on. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining in on this video. I hope you got something out of it. This here is the pre-launch of the Oupes Mega 2. However, by the time that this video comes out, it's going to be available for you. So I'm going to go ahead and show you what it is that they're offering. Of course, the Oupes Mega 2 does not come with the battery already. That's something that you have to purchase separately. However, it is at a very good price as well. And remember that I have a code for 10% off. That's good through the 28th of November. So make sure that you use that code to get an additional 10% off anything in the Oupes store except for the Mega 2. Since this is the launch of the Mega 2, Oupes has already put the best price that they can put on there, which is, let's take a look. It comes out to $1,223. That is a great price, ladies and gentlemen, for what this solar generator is capable of doing. So go check out the link on the description of the video or in a pinned comment and go take a look at the Oupes Mega 2. As soon as it's available, it will be ready to ship anywhere within the continental United States. Having said that, I hope that you have a great day. Again, I hope you got something out of this. I try to make this video a little bit more educational instead of just reviewing a product, so that you can get a gist of what it would take in order to protect your solar generator in case you already have one. Even if you're not in the market, you could get something out of this video as well. Other than that, I want to say thank you very much to Oupes for sending me the Mega 2 and all of the other solar generators that I've had such a great time reviewing. God bless every one of you. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.